It's the full moon in Sag. Best full moon of the year. Bring on the dancing girls. I get a better idea. Bring in the elves. Yes, the elves. Why is she bringing up elves? What does this have to do with the full moon? Hello, everyone. My name is Irlianna, StarSound Astrology, episode 310, StarSound Speaks. I practice traditional and modern astrology. If you like your astrology delivered with humor and wit, as well as deep spiritual insight, you have come to the right place. Please do like, share, subscribe. You can also book a session. The link is below, and join my email list. So why is this full moon so special? Well, first of all, when we have a full moon, it means that there is something that is coming to completion. Something that was started on the new moon comes to completion on the full moon. It's like the fruit on the tree is ripened and it's ready to burst forth. Until the next new moon, we are reaping the fruits of what was planted. In this video, I'm going to talk about the features of this full moon. Why am I talking about elves? The messages it's carrying and beyond. And I'm meaning like this full moon is actually going to have impact for months and years, and I'll explain why. Here is our full moon chart. We still got that powerful stellium, that this rich Taurus season, the moon, the sun just going into Gemini, but coming out of this very, very rich, earthy, luscious kind of, lunation after all the chaos and craziness and intensity of our eclipse season and then Mercury going retrograde. We finally used the month of May to just let things settle in. And with this full moon, we are getting some really fantastic gifts that are going to help us propel all the richness and the wisdom that we have garnished from all the experiences of this year, and we are going to be able to carry it forward. The moon is in the sign of Sagittarius. Well, the ruler of Sag is Jupiter. So Jupiter is the domicile ruler of this full moon. Also in the bounds of Jupiter. So we have the domicile ruler and the bounds. So the moon is in the house of Jupiter, Jupiter's temple, and he's also playing by Jupiter's rules. So that's a lot of Jupiter energy. Well, as you can see here, this is pretty awesome. You've got both benefics conjunct at the final degree of Taurus. So Venus is in her domicile. Jupiter is in Venus's domicile. Also, we have Neptune. Neptune is at 29 Pisces, making an exact sextile. So what does this mean? Any planet that's at 29 degrees of a sign, and that is considered the anorectic, or also known as karmic degree. So when a planet reaches 29 degrees, that's like the swan song. That's the fat lady singing, that's the grand finale. There's an ending, completion, something that is mastered and fully expressed. If you think of like a rosebud, if 0 degrees represents the rosebud, the tight bud of the rose that hasn't opened yet, 29 degrees is the rose that has completely, especially in Taurus, we're talking flowers, right? The rose has completely, fully opened, has offered all of its richness and all the potential fully expressed. So 29 Taurus, this is the end of an era. And when you think about Taurus, Taurus rules the senses, the things that we can touch and taste and feel. It's about luscious food and the grandeur and the beauty of life, living life fully and enjoying the senses, smelling the flowers and basking in the earth and all that nature offers us. That's the Taurian way. With 29 Taurus, the other side of it is that we could be almost hedonistic about it, where we're so comfortable and we're just so pleasure seeking. It can be stuck. It's like a couch potato. I don't want to get up. Taurus can be lazy. I'm just so into my little comfort zone, eating my luscious desserts. Venus is right there. Let's have some sweets while we're on the sofa, and we don't want to budge. There is an invitation here with this full moon to experience our senses and Earth from a radically different view. Why is that? We have Pluto making an exact trine, 2 degrees Aquarius, 2 degrees Sun in Gemini, and it's making a sextile to the moon. There's also the sextile between Neptune, Jupiter, and Venus, all three 29 degrees. Neptune in Pisces, this is Boku beauty, grace and prayer and devotion, this nonlinear transcendent beauty that goes beyond our world. This is the end of an era of how we know things, and it's inviting us to go out in grand Sag style, go out and explore outrageous new worlds of discovery and wisdom. There's a really deeply cathartic experiences available to us if we are willing to give up how we know things. I would even say an arrogance. The shadow side of Jupiter is I already know. Like when I lived in New York, if Om Namah Shiva is a mantra in India, well, the mantra in New York is I know everything. The full moon is inviting us to say, you think you know everything? Well, have I got news for you? I am sextiling with Pluto, and I'm here to say, no, you don't know everything. And isn't that wonderful? You can get off your high horse. Pluto and Aquarius, there are dimensions of intelligence that you don't even know exist, let alone have contact with. It's not like, oh, I know there's something out there, but I haven't contacted it. It's like, no, you don't even know that there's such a thing to even contact. So that's how deep and exciting this full moon is. And there's like no other full moon of the year like this. This is our big invite to take in all the richness and the rewards that it's offering us. What we need to do to get those rewards is to be willing to give up what we already know. By feeling grounded and connected with nature, that's a doorway. That's a doorway that opens to new worlds of discovery. And with Pluto there, the sextile with Pluto, it's worlds you didn't even know existed. But if we were to talk to elves, like, hey, there are levels of intelligence that you have written off. Sag, it's like, we don't count that. It's not official. What would life be like if we opened to levels that we had written off or just never knew existed? Are we willing to let go of our preconceived notions and to say, it's right here, like in nature. Nature is always the door into other levels of intelligence. So nature holds the key to higher knowledge, not of this earth, Pluto and Aquarius, hidden worlds of higher intelligence that you're not aware of. But officer, I was just having a chat with my elves. The biggest sin is really that we've fallen away from nature with this intellectual arrogance and thinking that we already know everything. And isn't that sad? Isn't that the biggest sin of all, that we have ignored and dropped out these other levels of reality? But the good news is this full moon is inviting us to come back to this expanded level of knowledge and the grace that opens when we open. Pluto can also involve some very deep emotional cathartic experiences. This could bring up maybe some places where we had been traumatized and cut off from these worlds. And so this could be a mystical reunion with these deeply special parts of ourselves that had been cut off. We can go there. And the invitation is that there's a healing and liberation that can occur when we embrace these lost part of ourselves. I think back to my days in Sedona. I was friends with this guy who wrote these books about UFOs and all the otherworldly things that Sedona is famous for. These Jeep tour drivers, they're not the new age spiritual people. They kind of poo-pooed all that. However, my friend used to get letters from them. They're like, okay, I thought all this stuff was a bunch of bull, but I saw this thing out in the canyons. I can't talk about this to my fellow Jeep tour drivers. You make fun of it till you see one. Then you're like, ew, that encounter with other worlds that is like, oh. So in this full moon, we're confronted with, there may be some scary or unpleasant, unknown things about reality. But when we allow ourselves to experience that, it's like totally paradigm bending, mind bending reality shift. I also want to say that this full moon is kind of like a little preview of Jupiter in Gemini. It'll be trining Pluto in Aquarius. So this is a little bit of a connection with that. Of course, that ingress is definitely a preview for next year when we have all the outer planets in fire and air signs. So this is the first time, say, it's 1947, that Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto will all be in fire and air signs. If you think that this year and last year things are accelerating fast, hang on to your hats. It's coming. It's huge. The acceleration of consciousness is really going to take off. And I feel that with this full moon, it's like, listen, things are going to get really, really speeded up. Humanity, consciousness, everything is going to go really fast very soon. Don't forget nature. Don't forget the earth. Keep her in your prayers. Keep her in your consciousness. Remain rooted. Put your feet on the ground. This is going to take us very far. We're moving into Pluto and Aquarius, uncharted territory. Kind of scary too with AI and like what's wise, what's not. Should we even be going there? A lot of unknowns. And the idea to just stay rooted in what's real and what counts. And I think of the May video, I made all those references to Gone with the Wind. There's that scene when she's talking heart to heart with her dad, and he's like, oh, Katie Scarlett, don't ever forget that land, and I'm going to say nature, being in the here and now is the only thing worth fighting for. It's the only thing worth living for. She discovers what's important to her. It's the simple, beautiful things of life. It's not the fashion and all this stuff. She comes home. So this full moon, Sag, come home to the earth, come home to nature. Things are going to get really, really crazy fast. And the only thing that's going to ground you is to just breathe, stay calm, stay centered, be in the now, and use nature as that bridge to higher consciousness, as that bridge to our sanity. You don't need computers and digital. Here's all this intelligence, AIs. What about nature's intelligence? How can anything be better than nature? Okay, so let's finish this up by talking about the zodiac signs. Where is this going to happen in your life? And I encourage you to read for your rising sign. It's more accurate. Aries rising, full moon is in your 9th house, which rules the truth, right? It's the Sag way, where you think you know with your spiritual beliefs, the opportunity. Pluto is coming at this from the 11th house. So maybe there are some deep conversations and cathartic emotional experiences that you'll have with friends or groups or group organizations or groups, maybe spiritual groups or humanitarian ideals and things of that nature that are waiting to be incorporated and want to come and make a difference, that want in your life. The unknown, that unknown part might be coming from friends and associates and cohorts. Okay, if you are Taurus rising, this full moon is going to be in your 8th house, which rules resources of others, shared resources, whether it's financial, it could be other people's money, finances. It can be also about death, estates, taxes. You know, there's some knowledge and there might be some crisis that's coming around that area of your life with Sag there. And maybe there's things that you may not be aware of that are unknown, and that might be regarding, that might be impacting people maybe that in your community or, you know, authority figures, bosses, because the Pluto's in the 10th. So that could be some really very public transformations that are available that could alter your reputation of how you are seen out in the world. So there's this new openings and very exciting. It can be a very public transformation, I'll put it that way. Okay, 7th house, this full moon, if you are Gemini rising, this full moon is going to be in your 7th house of relationships. This is long-term committed partnerships. So being able to be willing to say, you know what, I don't know everything, even though I thought I did, and there's some cathartic emotional experiences that may have to do with maybe one's spiritual beliefs, or maybe with Pluto and Aquarius, you know, removing or cutting ourselves off from traumatizing belief systems and spiritual beliefs or religions and such that make us feel like outsiders, that there could be some real deep cathartic experiences around that have to do with our partner or marriage or business partner, clients. So there's a lot of real juiciness there. Okay, if you are Cancer rising, this full moon is going to be in your 6th house, which is about your health, your diet, your lifestyle, lifestyle. It could also be your place of work. So maybe with Pluto being in the 8th house for that, maybe there's something here that speaks to there's some breakthrough waiting to happen that might occur for you regarding that might occur regarding finances. Maybe there's some secrets around shared resources, wills, estates, inheritances, trusts, annuities, insurance, things of that nature, that have to do with, that you might be struggling with. Maybe there's some belief system or beliefs that you've held about these things that are waiting to be resolved. There's some breakthrough here waiting to happen. In the for you guys who are Leo risings, this is happening in your 5th house, which is children, pleasure seeking, sex, romance, the things that give us joy and pleasure in life. The 5th house is the joy of Venus in traditional astrology. So there's this understanding that there's something, and it could also be creative pursuits, children of the mind, and especially in this sign of Sagittarius, there's some truth that was waiting to be uncovered around these subjects that will have a really paradigm altering shift that's waiting to happen. And again, this is something that we're going to take with us into next year with those fire signs, everything being in fire and air signs. This is a really powerful shift that we are going to be, we are allowing ourselves to experience. It's going to bring us a lot of blessings. With Pluto being in the 7th house, there could be clues there that regard our long-term collaborations with people that might be undergoing a very intense, maybe some experiences that we need to have that are showing maybe there's some toxic subconscious patterns with the people that we're married to or have long-term committed relationships with. And it's time to look at that honestly and openly, and that would have a great effect on our ability to experience, the joys and pleasures of life. If you are a Virgo rising, this full moon is in your 4th house of home and family. So there may be some truths around that coming to the fore about your place of origin, your family, your genealogy, your spiritual genealogy. It could also involve, of course, with Sag, it could also involve travel and things, travel and foreign cultures, other traditions, other spiritual traditions, and opening our eyes and being broadly more open-minded. And that may involve with Pluto in the 6th house. That could be having maybe the access to that would be about our health, for one thing. Maybe there's someone in our workplace or place of service, and then there's some breakthrough that is waiting to happen that's available, where there's some deep knowledge and unknown worlds, the things that we have maybe written off and didn't realize that there could be something hidden, that a coworker perhaps that could help you shed light on some family dynamics, some maybe toxic family dynamics. So that's for you Virgo risings. If you have Libra rising, Libra sun or Libra rising, this is going to be occurring in your 3rd house. So there's some kind of, 3rd house is about our local community. It's about our cousins and siblings and relatives, people like that, our neighbors. So there could be some truths that get revealed around these areas. And with Pluto in the 5th, it could involve, maybe some dramatic, cathartic moments, speaking to our creativity, the ability to create, to connect deeply with people, maybe reaching across party lines, being willing to go outside of your own comfort zone with your neighbors. There is some kind of breakthrough that can happen where we can come together and see things differently. Okay, for Scorpio rising, this is in your second house of finances, your personal finances, the things that matter to you. Maybe there's spiritual resources that matter to you, and with Pluto in your fourth house, there is this the opportunity to maybe create and mend fences with, people in your family or family life, looking at maybe some toxic dynamics that have kept us apart and from connecting with each other. And money and resources and values have a lot to do with that. For you Sag risings, this is going to be in your first house. This is your self-image. When you think about Sag, it's the eternal optimist. And there's this, the quest to discover and improve one's life and to go out there and conquer the world, like everything's available to me. And it's like, yes, guess what? There's more than you realize. And it might come from maybe some communications that you have, or in the way in which you speak and listen and interact with others. There could be some mechanisms at play in like the dynamics of our contacts and communications and writing with each other that we're not aware of, that are actually limiting us and keeping us from being fully self-expressed. So there could be some breakthrough in that area of your life. For you Capricorn rising, this is your full moon is in your 12th house, it's a house of the place of solitude. It's also called the house of self-sabotage. It's where do we sabotage ourselves? Maybe the things that we believe or are so fanatical about that it's time that we seriously and maybe contemplate in silence and away from the world, some contemplation and meditation about what this means and what does it cost us in terms of intimacy and even financially. With Pluto in the second, it's like, hey, when you handle this, when you get a handle on this, contemplating in solitude and taking that time to go within and away from the world, you could definitely have some wealth breakthroughs that could really set you up for some long-term success. And for Aquarius rising, the full moon is going to be in your 11th house, which is the house of friends, wishes, hopes, dreams. So dreaming big and having these breakthroughs with Pluto in the first, there's some kind of emotional catharsis, and there's this metamorphosis about your own personal self of how you show up in the world. It's like the butterfly in the cocoon, and the butterfly is wanting to emerge. And it's a long, slow process, but to be willing to consider that who I am and how I show up for the world, there is some newness that wants to be birthed. So to let go and allow this transformation and metamorphosis to take place, even though it may be uncomfortable and it may make us not feel like very good, we could draw a lot of support. There could be support from friends and associates and supporters, that there is, who can stand for us and believe in us and cheer us on as we embrace these parts of ourselves that maybe had been very cut off in the past. For Pisces rising, this full moon is angular. It's in your 10th house of career. So there's some deep truths that are going to come to the fore that regard our public reputation or the career or the work that we do out in our career. With Pluto in the 12th, it can involve some very intense, deeply subconscious patterns that we have long suppressed, that once are accessed or that we're willing to embrace and to go there and deeply reflect on, can have a real impact on our lives and our standing in the community. I hope you've enjoyed this. Please do like, share, subscribe. If you find this information interesting, let us know how you're doing. We're all here for each other. We love hearing from you guys. Looking forward to your feedback. All right, everyone. Much love, and we'll see you soon. This is Irlianna, StarSound Speaks, StarSoundastrology.com. Namaste.